What is going on, y'all? This is Pay Me in Dividends, and today is September 30th, 2025. And today we are going to talk about GPTY. Now, before we get into it, I hope you guys enjoyed my previous video. I did an interview with Eugene Vasquez in Thailand. He is a dividend investor who has a YouTube channel as well. So go over to his channel and check out his content. He has some really good content. He's actually living in Thailand and he's using his investment income, and so you can see him doing this in real life. His videos are extremely transparent, the information that he shares, so go ahead and check that out. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed that. But again, today we're going to talk about GPTY from yieldmax, and this is actually an ETF that I held before. And the reason I want to talk about this ETF again is because of its amazing recovery. All right, so there's really two things I want to touch on today. I want to talk about the recovery on Liberation Day earlier this year in April, and then its recent increase in share price and increased distribution as well. Right, so if we go back to April around Liberation Day, we can see that GPTY dropped in price along with the index. If you guys remember, the index dropped about 12% within that 1 week during that whole tariff debacle, right? And then you'll notice that when the market recovered, GPTY went up like crazy. It went up about 37%. All right, so it made a really good recovery, and then it kind of dipped back down into the low 40s. All right, but what happened recently is it had about almost a 6% gain, about a 5.8% gain in the last month. And one of the reasons why, or really the main reason why, is because Oracle stock, right? So Oracle stock is a tech company, and it went absolutely nuts this past month. All right, so it's up 24% this past month. If we go out 6 months, it's up 99%. All right, almost 100% in the past 6 months. And so the reason these two are correlated is because GPTY is a diversified income ETF that holds Oracle in its portfolio. You can see here it has about a 4% weight in GPTY, thus creating that increase in price. Now, another thing I noticed, the last two dividend payouts are higher than usual. If we look at the dividend payouts for GPTY, just keep in mind that this is a weekly paying ETF, and they typically pay around 25 to 30 cents per share. You can see here on the yieldmax website. But if you look at the most recent payouts, you can see that it's increased to about 36 cents per share. Now, will this remain going forward? Maybe not. I think this is just because of the increase in the spike of Oracle stock. But either way, I think this is a very good sign for GPTY. And although I sold out of it last month or earlier this month or sometime in August, I switched it out for SPMO. I've talked about SPMO in previous videos. It's a growth ETF, but I do plan on transitioning back to income ETFs as the principal in my brokerage grows over time. And I'm going to transition back to income investing, but a bit more strategically and a bit more with some more tactic, right? So my whole game plan is to buy these income ETFs when they are down. All right, so if you see here again, back in April, GPTY dropped down to $35 a share. This would have been an amazing time to get into this investment. Now, we can't predict what the market does, but we do know the market always recovers. And the fact that GPTY is so diversified, right, we know that it'll recover with the market. So now that I have a bit more data on this ETF, I feel comfortable getting back into it at some point in the future. Not anytime soon, but maybe the next major dip that we have in the market. I'll think about getting back into it. But again, just to go over its holdings, it has all the big names, right? Nvidia, Palantir, Intel, Tesla, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Apple, Oracle. So all of these big, tech companies. And you can also see that the net asset values, right, the assets under management has increased as well. I remember not too long ago, this was around $30 million in assets under management, maybe just a couple months ago, and it's now doubled, right? It's at 64, almost $65 million of assets under management, right? So I just wanted to talk about this very, very briefly to give you guys a rundown of one of the income ETFs that I'm considering reintroducing back into my portfolio in the future when I'm ready to switch back to income investing. I do still hold BTCI, which is the NEOS Bitcoin income ETF, and I do like that one because they hold a spot ETF as a portion in their portfolio, so the share price doesn't erode over time. All right, but I'm looking at other ones. I'm looking at GPTY, which again is one that I held before, and I really like the recoveries that it makes because of its underlying holdings. There's a couple other, right? There's Maggie from Brown Hill, which is the Magnificent Seven income ETF, right? There's a new one from Brown Hill called WPay, right? WPAY, and it is diversified as well. It has several different Brown Hill ETFs wrapped up into one. So there are a few income ETFs that I really, really do like and are very interesting to me. And eventually, when I'm ready to transition back into income investing, when I need the income, these are the ones that I'm keeping an eye on, right? So these are the things that you got to look at when you're thinking about getting into these income ETFs is how do they recover after the market is hit hard? All right, what holdings do they have in their portfolio? And also, are they doing synthetic options, meaning not holding the shares, or do they actually hold the shares? And GPTY, again, is one that I really like because they actually hold the underlying assets. All right, so again, just wanted to touch on that briefly. You guys let me know in the comments, what do you think about GPTY? What other ETFs would you compare this one with, and what do you see the future of GPTY going? I think it'll keep on doing pretty well. I think my favorite thing about this ETF is that consistent dividend payout. You can see there's not much of a fluctuation of payments, besides the most recent ones, which was a great increase. And I'm not expecting this to hold. I wouldn't be mad if it dropped down back to 28-30 cents per share, but as long as it can hold that average up moving into the future, I will be extremely happy with that. All right, so you guys let me know in the comments, what do you think about GPTY? All right, so as always, I appreciate you guys stopping by the channel, and I will catch you on the next video.